Okay, I kind of went through and tried to give everyone recording privileges who, if you didn't get it, let Steve know. I'm about to make him host.
I think I've hit most of them, Matt.
Okay. I'm going to make you host here, Steve.
All right. Good afternoon, Coach. How are we doing today?
Good, Steve.
Hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. We'll go ahead and get started with Coach McCaffrey. For those of you who have a question, please raise your hand in the window and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, Tom Caker with our first question. Go ahead, Tom.
Fran, I'll jump in and ask you a question. What do you think of Iowa State this year? What have you seen from them early on this season?
You know, I think they've done a lot of good things. They've only played 2 games, obviously. They got some new guys that are talented. So, you know, they're veteran guys. They're older guys. Solomon Young's playing extremely well. He was really impressive to me last year. You know, so he's a handful. Bolton we know because he's from, you know, Penn State. And I thought he had a really good season last year. Coleman Lands, you know, this will be the 3rd school I coached against him, and he's always played well when I've watched him. He's a really good shooter. I think he's a really good player. So, I mean, you know, Harris is good. Johnson's good. They've got some good players. You know, the first game was the first game out of the chute. They won that. And then South Dakota State, I thought, played really well against them.
All right, our next question comes from Mark Emmert. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, Fran, I wanted to ask you about Joe Wieskamp on the defensive end Tuesday. I think he got 7 defensive rebounds for you. I saw him guarding a power forward and a point guard at different times. I guess what impressed you about what he got done on the defensive end?
You know, with all due respect to him, I mean, it was a phenomenal defensive effort on the glass. You know, he always does that. I mean, it's just who he is. He's special. But with the way they crashed the glass, the job that our team did on, you know, limiting them to 1 shot. I mean, they still got some, so did we. But you know, I don't know if there's a better rebounding team in the country than North Carolina. So I thought we really competed. You know, there's going to be times when he was guarding Brooks or he was guarding, you know, in transition, you could pretty much pick up anybody, but there's times when he was guarding Brooks, Connor was guarding Brooks, or they were switched off and on. And obviously he's huge, as is Bacon and the other 2 bigs, Sharp and Kessler. So, you know, for us to win, Joe Wieskamp, Connor, it wasn't just, you know, obviously Jack and Luca, but, you know, I thought Bohannon was in there mixing up CJ, Joe Toussaint. Pretty much anybody we put in, Patrick was on the glass, Keegan. That's what it had to be. It had to be a collective effort on the glass to beat that team.
All right, our next question comes from Mike Kloss. Go ahead, Mike.
This may seem like an obvious question, and it won't be the first time I've asked one, but you had a big lead in that Carolina game. It got away, and there was nothing from where I sat that indicated that your guys were particularly worried. What does a team, what do players have to possess for that to be the case?
I think a lot of things, Mike, you know, it starts with if you have experienced guys, they don't panic. Carolina cranked it up defensively. You knew they would. They have athletic, long, talented athletes. They have size. They have pride. It's a winning program. So, you know, they're going to come and they're going to keep coming. So you have to be able to do a couple things. Number one, not turn it over. You know, we're not a turnover team. You got to continue to move the ball in and out, side to side. You got to be able to execute. You know, sometimes, you know, we'll have to run a press offense, have to run a side OB and out of bounds under. Maybe you want to run a set play. You know, can you execute that set play against talented athletes that are being physical, that are in your space, that are challenging the next pass without turning it over, and understand how to get open? And, you know, we had a stretch there, you know, what you're referring to, when they were doing some things. We had some pretty good looks that didn't go in. And you can't let that weigh on you either. We had a bunch of in and outs in that stretch where we moved it and got good shots. Jack had one, Patrick had one. Bohannon had two on the same possession. And you just want those guys to continue to shoot the ball with confidence and keep working offensively to get good shots. So I think a lot of it comes down to experience, guys that have been through it, but also I probably would say, you know, the makeup of the individuals. We've got some pretty tough-minded guys.
And our next question comes from David Eichhold.
Yeah, Fran, rewatching the game just from a couple of days ago, it seemed like CJ Frederick and Joe Wieskamp in particular were really smart and aggressive when driving the hoop. Just describe the growth of those two guys. I mean, CJ last year is more of a perimeter-oriented guy, took some takes to the hoop at times, but it seemed like they were much more aggressive and making good decisions when to drive and when not to drive.
Well, you know, I think a lot of things factor into that, starting with the way they were crowding Luka, so there was more space. And then they both started out really well. So now they're running out at them. So it's making those decisions. Okay, I have a little more space because they're crowding Luka, and you're reading the closeout or the fly. You know, they both made shot fake sidestep jumpers in that game. So that's just veteran guys reading the defense.
And our next question comes from Don Doxey.
Yeah, Fran, I don't know that we've ever asked you what you thought about what Jordan did at last year's Iowa State game where he left the shoes out on the court. And I'm guessing you kind of like the fact that you know, shows that he has a chip on his shoulder and everything else. But what were your thoughts about what he did?
Well, you know, it's funny because I didn't know much about it. You know, heard about it later. You know, I think it's just kind of who he is. It's kind of what makes him special. So, I mean, I wasn't really emotional about it one way or the other. I just, you know, I love him.
Our next question comes from Tom Kakert.
Fran, you could have went a lot of directions with your schedule. You could have maybe left this game off, done something different, but it seemed like a priority to you. Why was it a priority? And, you know, just kind of explain making this game happen, because you seem pretty determined to make it happen.
You know what, Tom, I don't know if it was that. It was a game that was on our schedule. It's been a really good game pretty much every time we've played each other. Obviously, the crowds are typically outstanding. And we've had great coverage on television. You know, it's a rivalry game. But I think the expectation, you know, from both administrations, from both coaching staffs, okay, all right, we're playing 27 and not 31, but, you know, that's one of the games we're going to play. You know, you won't play as many of those other games where you're trying to find one to plug here, plug there. You know, you're going to play Iowa State. You know, you're going to play the challenge. We had an MTE plan the way we did. You know, we had planned to go up to Sioux Falls, which we are, and then you just kind of fill in the other games. So, I just think it was more, just an expectation. It wasn't like we thought about, wait, we have to play this game. It was like, we're going to play the game. We play it every year. It's a great game. It's a great game for college basketball. It's a great game for college basketball fans in this state. We're going to play the game. There was never any hesitation on anybody's part.
All right, our next question, Mike Halas.
Within the last day or two, Mike Krzyzewski has questioned whether games should be being played right now. Jay Billis on ESPN said that the COVID environment's different now than it was in October. How do you feel about it? Because I know you really wanted the season to go off as planned.
Yeah, Mike, I would say this, 100% behind our league and the NCAA's decision to play college basketball for a variety of reasons. Not the least of which is, our players have been fortunate enough, due to the diligence of our conference, to have really, and also our institution, really sound protocols with regard to health and welfare. But health and welfare extends beyond whether or not we get COVID. Our mental health is absolutely critical. Kids aren't in school. Kids don't go anywhere. They don't socialize, but we have an opportunity to come together every day and practice and prepare and do something we love to do and compete and provide something that fans enjoy watching on television. Some games have been canceled, and when they're canceled for the right reasons. Fortunately, we haven't had any yet, and we may. If we do, we'll cancel them. We'll make the prudent decisions at the time. But over 80% of the games have been played without issue, and we're going to continue to play them.
All right, our next question comes from Jarek. Go ahead, Jarek.
Coach, the first few games, the offensive plan seemed to be sort of feed and Luka, and then Tuesday the ball was a bit more spread out and focused on the perimeter. Can we expect one of those two offensive game plans, or will it be more sort of just based on the flow of the game?
Every game's different. A lot of times what ends up happening is determined by the opposition, how they're playing it. Teams will decide how they want to defend us, and then when they do, then we have to adjust to that. That's pretty much what's happened so far, and it will probably continue to happen the rest of the year.
Mark Emmert.
Yeah, Fran, one more on Joe Wieskamp. I just actually was thinking about that game out at Michigan State when he was a freshman. He had to come in and guard some of their post players at a point, and that was obviously a big challenge for him. How have you seen him grow just in the area of being able to contest some guys that are 4 or 5 inches bigger than he is?
Well, it's one of those things where, first of all, he's 6'7" and long, so it's not like he's going to have trouble defensively against most people. Now, they were particularly big, like I said, so you got to fight him. You got to front him. Connor does it every game, but he's a tough kid. He's strong. He's smart. He understands angles. He's not going to back down, and our guys are used to that because we play fast. So in transition, you got to pick up whoever's there. You might have to guard the 5-man, you might have to guard the point guard, and anybody in between, depending upon if they're playing big or small. So, to be honest with you, it's really not that much different than what he's done before. He's just a veteran guy who's a little bit stronger now.
Don Doxey, next question. You're muted there, Don.
Your bench has been noticeably very active during games and trying to generate energy and noise and things. Is that something you've really kind of advocated, or is it just kind of happened that way in the empty arenas? Or
Yeah, I wouldn't say like we sat down and said, hey, we need you guys. That's just who they are, I think, Don. They love their teammates. They're enthusiastic. They're into the game. And, I'm really pleased with that kind of activity. You're right. It's a little bit of a different atmosphere, not a little bit. It's a lot different atmosphere. We have some some fans across the way, primarily family members. So I think you need that activity on the bench. I think you're seeing it across the board. Whenever you watch games, the benches are really into it. But ours has always been, and that's the way we like it.
All right. Further questions for Coach McCaffrey? I see Mike Kloss, go ahead.
Just if you'd amplify on something you said a moment ago to my question, as the father of two players on the team, what have you seen are the benefits of having this season, and what would it have meant to your sons were this season not a go?
Well, I think they would have been very disappointed. I mean, if the season was canceled, it's one of those things, Mike, where I think it was okay. If the whole season got canceled for obvious reasons, I think we all would have, okay, we get it. Just like when the season was canceled last year, okay, we get it. Doesn't mean we're happy about it, but let's take a step back and make sure that everybody's going to be okay. So, for us, with daily testing, it gives you a clear picture every day on who's positive and who's negative. So we can confidently go to practice knowing we've got a team full of guys who tested negative. And we can interact with each other and then impress upon them the importance of being diligent with where they go, who they go there with, and understand that it could be jeopardized by making poor decisions in that regard, which I think going back, when school first started, I'm not sure every college student was athlete or not, were making good decisions. But, I think to go the other part of your question, okay, what would they be doing? We're not playing basketball. We're not going to school. You're not socializing. Okay, what are you doing? Nobody's doing anything. And it's not the right way to live. I thought if I felt as a parent or, whether I'm a parent of my own children, I don't view the decisions we make any differently. I feel the same way about CJ Frederick. I'm not going to run him out there if I don't think it's safe. So I feel like we've provided a safe environment. It's what's best for these kids right now to be focused and concentrated on, what they want to do and what they're capable of doing. They're having fun doing it. And we're all thrilled for the opportunity. I think what it also does, Mike, I think it helps you appreciate and never take for granted this opportunity to play college basketball. It's pretty special, and I feel the same way just having the opportunity to coach these young men and how proud I am of them and what they're doing and again, how mature they have been. So we're just going to keep plugging forward.
All right. Any further questions for Coach today? All righty.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone. Thanks for your time, Coach. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Again, 8 o'clock tomorrow. See you at Carver, hopefully. Be safe out there.